I've said this a couple times before. For several years, I didn't have an appreciation for every win, and would not be happy, and I'm not happy with our performance by any stretch tonight. But you have to appreciate the fact that we won the game and enjoy the win. Like I say, usually it's a win, and we'll enjoy it till midnight, and then we'll really have to drill down into the issues that we have, and I don't know if they're many, but they're profound, and we have to find ways to get better. And I'm happy that we handled some adversity and still came away with a win tonight.
Not only just came away with a win, but you came away with an A-10 win in early December. If that's encouraging, I hope it is. But what did you tell your girls after the game, saying if it was the first A-10 win, you're satisfied, but what did you tell them that was not satisfying to justify you saying that you were happy with the performance tonight?
It was very similar to what my opening statement was, and I said talk long, talk wrong, and I like to keep it a certain level of brevity to my comments, whether we win or lose in the locker room after a game. And so it really, what I shared earlier in my opening statement, we have some issues that are pretty profound that we have to fix, but they're not many. But we have to appreciate the win and really enjoy the win. And then we actually have the next 2 days off, Wednesday and Thursday. And tomorrow is a true day off. I told them, I said I didn't want to see anybody in here unless they had rehab. Thursday, many of them, because that's the mental makeup of who they are, will be in here for individual work that will be voluntary on their end. And then on Friday, we'll begin our prep. And really, our prep begins on Thursday with film sent to them and them watching Kent, but our real prep begins on Friday. And Kent's a really good team, and it's a rivalry game. It's become a rivalry game, we'll address some of our issues on Friday.
So you mentioned on Sunday you weren't exactly happy with the efforts. Said you weren't exactly happy with this win, but in terms of the difference from how it looked against Delaware to how it looks tonight against Fordham, are you satisfied with the difference in the effort? No.
There was some individual play that was better, but we played with more of a physicality, but if I would be satisfied with what just happened, we would not have a successful year. So I can't be satisfied with what happened out there today. And for us, one of the things we really identified in the previous game against Delaware is that they completely out-toughed us. What people don't realize is I've called this the Olive Garden debacle. We had a situation where our post-game meal, or excuse me, our pre-game meal was really late, and so we had a lot of heavy stomachs, and made it really challenging from that perspective. I think that is by no means an excuse for how we performed, because it didn't determine the game. Our biggest problem is when shots don't go down, and that's that game in the second quarter, and it's in this game. When our shots don't fall, our body language drops, and we have to understand that when our shots don't fall, we have to pull up our shorts a little bit stronger, and we have to play with more energy, and our bench has to give us more energy, and we've got to play harder when shots don't go in, and we haven't figured that out yet.
Speaking of shots falling and whatnot, first quarter of the game, a lot more from behind the arc, but then as the game went along, a lot more presence inside the paint, working it in, whether it's PJ or Keandra. Just how much of an emphasis was that to use that inside out and maybe emphasize that?
That's exactly what we talked about after the Delaware game. We obviously only had 1 day of prep, but our practice was really good. The practice was exceptional. It was probably the best practice that we've had this year yesterday. And we talked about establishing an inside presence right away. And we'll continue to do that. We want to have an inside presence early in the game and assert ourselves down there, because I really believe whether it's Caitlin Ammons or Yanni Townsend, Precious, Keandra, or Amaya Hamilton, we've got talented post players that are skilled and give us a size advantage against most teams that we play. But they have to put the ball in the basket. And it goes before they catch the ball. They've got to go to the block and displace the defender instead of cutting to the block and standing in front of the defender and creating minimal contact. So that was one of the things that we challenged them with, is that we want to go and cut to wherever we need to cut within the play that we're running, and they need to displace the defender on the post-up. That becomes advantage to the offense immediately. And then after that, they need to make their move, and they got to finish. And if that's pressure, pressure's good. Pressure makes diamonds. Maybe not tonight, but maybe against Kent. But it's going to happen for us. And that pressure's going to make us into diamonds. I just hope it's sooner than later.
This one's a multi-part question.
I don't know if I'm smart enough to answer a multi-part question.
I'll try to give it a small chance. Keandra getting the start after a couple strong performances against Pitt and coming back with 9 points against Delaware. Gets the start today. Just fills the stat sheet again today. First off, what was behind the decision to give her the start today? And then second, do you feel like that decision paid off with everything she did tonight?
She plays harder than everybody. You want to start, you'll play harder than her. She plays harder than everybody on the floor. There's a sense of desperation when she plays. I mean, the kid's on the floor every third or fourth possession, it feels like. She's either taking a charge or fouling someone, or she makes things happen. Sometimes bad, but most times really good. I wasn't real happy with her having 3 turnovers, but all of those happened in the first half, and she didn't have any in the second. 10 rebounds, 9 points, 3 assists, and all of her turnovers in the first. It's real simple. We've challenged the team. I talked about the displacement in the post. Well, that goes also to playing hard. And you're going to play hard, and you're going to let the opponent know who we are, or you're going to sit down. And Keandra's a great example of it can happen for anyone on our team, and you can extend your minutes. So if there's anyone who's feeling bad about themselves because maybe they didn't play the minutes that they wanted, or maybe they didn't start, or they didn't play, whatever it may be, Keandra didn't play in the Niagara game because I didn't believe that was a coach's decision. I didn't know that she could compete at the speed that game was going to be. Maybe I should have played her in that game and we would have had a bigger lead. But at the end of the day, 4 games ago, Keandra didn't even get in the game. And now she's starting in an integral part of our team. Why? Because she plays harder than everyone else. She has a sense of desperation when she plays. I hope that is infectious.
Another Keandra question that just jumps to my head. That sequence with her and Tess, the 3-pointer by Tess, then the feed inside the Keandra, then the backdoor cut to Tess. Just when you're able to put that kind of sequencing together with that kind of 2-man game, just how much more does that help everybody else when Keandra's involved that way?
There's a couple things there. First of all, that's the longest question. I can't answer all
I think
no,
that's all good,
I'm
that's
joking.
all.
I really have a good answer for that. One, Keandra I've described as being like the old man at the Y. She's got a little bit of an IQ to her, where you always got that old guy at the Y who maybe isn't the most athletic or the most flexible or doesn't jump 35 inches in the air. But they're going to throw an elbow in your gut, and they're going to be able to throw the right pass at the right time, and they can score in and they can score out. And sometimes it doesn't look pretty because she may only get an inch off the ground, but she got that old man at the Y game to her, and that's a really good thing. And then when you couple that with that sense of desperation and a little touch of meanness, you have a pretty good player. I've asked our team, and if you followed our games, I've not been real happy with our motion, with our motion, our player movement off the ball, and I've asked them to back cut. To my face is red. To my face is red as this table right here, and finally, Tess did it, and did it at a great time, by the way. But against Delaware defended us very well and did a great job. They're a very well coached team. In this game right here, I thought Fordham played their hearts out against us. And the key to that backdoor cut is very simply, when you see the back of the defender's head, back cut. And we finally executed it. Now I'm hoping that will give hope and a pathway to the other players on our team, especially on the weak side, that they see that and they'll make that type of cut again. That's probably my favorite play of the game. And it isn't because it's a simplistic beauty play, but it's more because Tess went backdoor. And we have to do that more as a team. Did that answer your question? Great stuff.
Succinctly.
Good stuff.
Better than I asked it.
Okay. No, you asked it very well, Josh. You did. I was just joking with you.
I have to ask, this is more a curiosity question for you, Dan. Facing an A10 opponent in early December, just what's it like flipping a switch to that? Because obviously there is an expectation playing a conference game. Just does it mess with you a little bit, or does it leave you maybe with more questions or more maybe than usual, if that makes any sense?
It didn't mess with us in any sort of way. We just approached it business-like. You really don't have a lot of time to think about it when you play on Sunday and you get your head handed to you and you don't play well and you're embarrassed, and we were. We had to lick our wounds a little bit and come back on Monday, and that's the reason why I'm high on this team. I know what our talent and our ability is, and we're not playing well right now, but the way that we practiced and the way that their questions are and their eye contact, they're completely dialed in. And we'll get through this tough period. But this tough period, for us to get through, the things I've already mentioned have to happen, and we've got to find consistency. If there's one thing that we found a little bit today, we found a little bit of consistency with Precious Johnson and her performance, and Journey Kiaku with their performance. And so in terms of Fordham, I'm not a big fan of playing an A10 game early in the season, but it's needed because of the scheduling quirks of adding Loyola. And this year we're one of the 4 teams that have to do it, and thank God we came away with the win.
One more follow here, just to have, you mentioned Precious, obviously Tess has had some ups and downs as well, just for them to see their work, their behaviors rewarded in some facets tonight. Just how important is that, just to see some validation of the efforts that have been made?
Their efforts, and I mean 1 through 11, is outstanding because they're always in the gym and they work incredibly hard. But validation is putting the ball in the basket and winning basketball games. So we can talk about the great effort, and there is a great amount of effort. They are very committed as students and as athletes, but the validation comes when you have a W in the column. And how do you get the W in the column? You score more points than the other team, and you defend better. We have a long way to go defensively, and we have a long way to go offensively, but we found a way to win tonight. And so, the one thing I'll say about Tess is that, obviously we all know that she was in a real shooting slump, and I think she was 0 for 7 to start this game and finished 5 for 13. What she has done that hasn't probably been recognized is that she has rebounded the ball well, and that's a great improvement over last year. Last year, she'd finished the game with 1 or 2 rebounds, and tonight she had another 8 rebound game, and she's averaging near 6 rebounds a game. And so she's become a committed defender and a much better rebounder. Now, once those shots start to fall, it'll feel really good for her, and it'll be really good for our program.
Thanks, Coach.